So the Harris-Biden administration has hired somebody who has declared that our nuclear weapons are not gay enough and that they need to be more diverse. Let's talk about it on Azimuth Podcast. I'm Barrett McNabb, and with me is Kimberly McNabb. Yeah, so the Harris-Biden administration has the Department of Energy official calling that the queering of nuclear weapons as part of a radical DEI agenda. You can't make this stuff up. This is actually happening.
So that typical mushroom cloud of a nuclear bomb going off, is it going to spread out rainbows and unicorns and glitter?
Yeah, I mean, there's an inventor that's famous on TikTok and on YouTube, and he is an engineer, and he has technology to thwart porch pirates. So he hides things in his in Amazon boxes and puts it out on his doorstep, and somebody comes and snags it and runs away. And what happens when they open the box? It makes a beeping sound, and then it does a puff of fart smoke so that there is flatulence in the air, but then it also does a whirring and it sprays glitter everywhere, all over, and he's got a camera in there as well.
Oh, good.
So it records, and then it sends the information back to, I guess via cell phone signal, back to his computer so he can share it with the internet. And that's exactly what I imagine when you said that nuclear bomb going off and then glitter going everywhere. I mean,
hopefully
give me a
that
break.
man sells his product so that people who are constantly victims of porch pirating can buy that.
Yeah, I mean, he's been improving upon it and things like that, and so I mean, it's obviously a lot of good fun there. I mean, they're thieves. I mean, they're stealing the stuff, but still, that immediately brought to my mind, having the mushroom cloud of an atomic weapon and then glitter going everywhere. But her name is Sneha Nair. And she's been appointed as the special assistant to the National Nuclear Security Administration. And she believes in eradicating white supremacy in the nuclear field, as well as making sure all nuclear weapons are queer.
One reason why I prefer the English language to all other languages, other than obvious reasons,
right,
is I'm having a hard enough time with one, but we don't have gender articles like the has to be la versus la, and nouns, like it's just gender neutral.
Right.
Like, probably the only thing I advocate for being gender neutral, but
is our nuclear weapons.
Yeah, because guess what? The bomb doesn't care if you're gay or if you're straight or if you're black or you're white.
Well, apparently she disagrees with you because she's quoted, and normally I don't read the quotes directly from a piece of paper, but I want to make sure I get all the words correct here. Finally, queer theory informs the struggle for nuclear justice and disarmament. Queer theory helps to shift the perception of nuclear weapons as instruments for security by telling the hidden stories of displacement, illness, trauma caused by their production and testing. So she also says, being an advocate for DEI, it's an essential for creating an effective nuclear policy.
None of that made sense. It was all in English, but none of it made sense.
Yeah. Again, I go back to what you said. In French is we'd have to look this up. Is nuclear weapon a feminine or a masculine pronoun?
Noun. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, really. All right. Yeah. What do you use? So yeah. So she goes on to say that her DEI agenda envisions expanding America's deep secrets to people with foreign connections, claiming those individuals were discouraged from applying as an issue of race-based and this is to the nuclear agencies. She said the U.S. government reports show that qualified applicants with foreign ties have been discouraged from applying to sensitive national security positions and faced barriers in obtaining a security clearance. This is in part due to the preconceived confirmation biases held by investigators about certain racial or ethnic groups.
Okay. I want to repeat that, okay, right, for emphasis. People with foreign connections should be given access to nuclear secrets? Are you kidding me?
No. Apparently, Uncle Wee works for the Chinese intelligence agency, and you want to apply for a nuclear position. It's cool.
Well, okay, here's a very simple, dumbed down explanation. Let's say you have a football team from the state of Georgia.
Okay.
And then you have that team playing up against another team from Alabama.
Right.
You're from Georgia. Which team are you more likely going to root for?
It's going to be the home team.
Yeah, even if you move to Alabama.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. There are plenty of houses divided in the state of Georgia and the state of Alabama to prove it.
I mean, that's really
and if you have
mind.
the opportunity to do a Trojan horse type of scenario, which there have been cases on college campuses where people sneak in and steal the mascot under false pretenses, they're going to do that on a much more massive scale.
Yeah, I mean, when you go through the security, the SF-86 and the security questionnaire, for those that you may or may not remember, Kimberly McNabb here had a top secret security clearance, and I had a top secret with special SCI clearance, special compartmentalized information, which is the highest security clearance you can have. And the background checks are very in depth. I have a cousin that by marriage, not by blood, but by marriage. And this individual was also a Portuguese citizen. Okay. And so they asked me, but he was born in the United States, which makes him an American citizen. And they asked me, my family members, whether I had any foreign family members. And they came back furious because I said no. And they came back furious and saying, you didn't disclose that you have a cousin who is a foreign national. And I said, yeah, but if you had done a deeper dive, you also see that he is a U.S. national because he was born in the United States. So he's a U.S. citizen, which is why I didn't declare him. And he goes, oh, but they looked. They looked.
Do you think they did that just so they could highlight bias, or maybe where there could be room for influence?
Right. I mean, that's the whole thing. If you go all the way back to episode 1, when we were talking about the 2 Chinese nationals that became U.S. citizens and then sold secrets to China, things that make you go, But they became American citizens. They were from China, and they betrayed our country. And we talked about, security and things like that, and about how difficult it should be to get a security clearance. But here we have a Harris Biden official that wants to, if you have foreign ties, we'll go ahead and give you that security clearance so you can play with nukes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
Maybe we need to get them to recognize the language. So instead of bias, how about the word discernment?
Right.
Or, okay, oh, you're too judgmental. No, discernment. Like, I'm going to discern what my child eats. I'm going to discern who I let into my house. You have to. Otherwise, why have a process? Why have that 86 form?
Well, I mean, is it discrimination? I mean, one of the things that would be a disqualifier for you, or you would get extra scrutiny, is if you have a lot of debt, because people with debt tend to want to get rid of the debt, and so they're more susceptible to foreign agencies for an enticement of money. Right. So, I mean, that they're just, drowning in debt. You're not going to give that person a security clearance. So in this instance, would that be ruled as not fair as well, because a particular group has more debt than the others?
Classis, or
Yeah, exactly. But let's talk about what she's continuing to say about this queer narrative for our nukes. Queer theory, changing the narrative. Queer theory is a field of study closely related to feminist theory that examines sex and gender-based norms, and it shines a light on the harm done by nuclear weapons through uranium mining, nuclear test, and the tax money spent on the weapons. Goes on to say the queer lens prioritizes the rights and well-beings of people over the abstract idea of national security. The abstract idea of national security. And it challenges the mainstream understanding of nuclear weapons, questioning whether they truly deter nuclear war. They do. Stabilize geopolitics. Yes, they do. And reduce the likelihood of a conventional war. Yes, they do. Queer theory asks, who created these ideas and how are they being upheld? Whose interests do they serve? And whose experiences are being excluded? Because we want to make sure that mutually assured destruction, or MAD,
it's not a shared experience.
It's not a shared experience, or if it is, it needs to be touchy-feely.
Yeah, a nuclear bomb does not care if you're gay or you're straight or if you're Jewish or you're Muslim. It's a war that must never be fought.
Yeah, absolutely. and I think Reagan
Right.
had a paraphrase of that, right?
Yeah, it cannot be won and it must never be fought.
Sure. This is just crazy. Do you know? So we're talking about, populations with nuclear weapons. Okay. So China right now has approximately, I want to say 400 to 600 nuclear weapons, and their aim is to triple that by 2035. So they're going on a massive weapons
now,
building
are they
program.
super queer or not queer at all?
Yeah,
Where do they range on the DEI spectrum?
Well, I mean, that's what I would say is that I can promise you that 100% of the people working in the Chinese nuclear weapons field is Chinese. I'm going to go out on a limb. They are all Asian. They are all Chinese. I really am going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say with a high degree of certainty that 100% of the people working the Chinese nuclear program are Chinese. Okay, now let's talk about Russia. Okay,
right.
so we're gonna that was the DEI part, but now we're gonna go into the queer part. Being gay in Russia is illegal, right? It's illegal. So the diversification of their nuclear weapons program is not positively or negatively affected by how many queer people go into the program. So why is it that the United States is the only one that needs to bring DEI and queerness into our nuclear weapons program? Well, is that an advantage to us? I would say no.
No, and also this is like, we're talking policy regarding mass destruction. You need to know how the game is played.
Right.
They're playing chess, and you're trying to switch it to shoots and ladders. Like
not even checkers, shoots and ladders.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be right there with the other bullies in the schoolyard.
Right.
It's not time for touchy-feely, this makes me sad or, this hurts my feelings. No, if you can't keep up with the bullies, you're going to get pummeled.
Right. I mean, and especially if you look at the United States and the nuclear triad that we have, right? And the nuclear triad, if you're not familiar, is nuclear bombs that are dropped by aircraft, bombers, nuclear intercontinental ballistic missiles that are ground-based and launched, and then sea-based intercontinental ballistic missiles that are on Ohio-class submarines, right? So that's your nuclear triad, and really what it's supposed to be is well-rounded. If one leg gets cut off, then the other two can respond, and vice versa. And the fact that there is the potential for, again, that MAD, mutually assured destruction, prevents things from escalating. I mean, we've seen President Putin threaten and saber rattle that he's thinking about using a nuclear weapon in Ukraine, and we said don't do that. And I mean, and so he didn't. I mean, the thing is if he goes nuclear, then NATO could possibly go nuclear, right? And then again, nobody wins except for the cockroaches in a nuclear war.
Yeah. We live in Houston. They have enough territory.
but still, to look at this and to entertain this, that there is somehow confirmation bias and not enough queer people. Again, if you are a nuclear physicist and you have a degree from MIT and you're gay or not, or you're black or you're not, or you're white or you're not, if you're smart, we want you in the nuclear program. That's what it boils down to. Is you're qualified.
And your loyalty is to.
That's a great point.
That might be more important than anything.
I actually.
You're going to use it on us or encourage them to use it on us.
I took that for granted. You're absolutely right, Kimberly. That is the supreme, discriminator is where do your loyalties lie, and if they need to lie with the United States of America.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big thing. But yeah, so she kind of ends this article saying queer theory also identifies how the nuclear weapons discourse is gendered. Because again, are they masculine or are they feminine or are they somewhere in between? Nuclear deterrence is associated with rationality and security, while disarmament and justice for nuclear weapons victims are coded as emotion and lack of understanding of the real mechanics of security. So again, she she can write really well. She knows how to grab those buzzwords and fill those in. In fact, it's the same social construct. DEI. Just the all these buzzwords that are continuously used in whatever the prose or the document that's being created. It's all the same words, and she's trying to make nuclear weapons touchy-feely.
Well, when you're talking a tough subject, she's touting to people who probably also think like her.
Right.
But who has the other weapons that can destroy us? The people that don't care about the feelings or the emotions. The people that do care about the cold, hard facts. The Russians and the Chinese.
Right.
So how about you speak their language so they know, hey, they mean it, back off.
And let's go even further. So right now, I'm not reading this, and I don't have it looked up, so I'm just going to have to do this by memory. But the nuclear powers are the United States, Russia, China, India, Pakistan, England, France, and Israel. Okay, those are the nuclear powers. Now, intelligence analysts say that Iran's nuclear weapons program, which they say does not exist.
Not touchy-feely people.
Well, they're not touchy-feely, but they say it doesn't exist. Please. The intelligence analysts that they will have a nuclear weapon by the end of the year. Now, they may not detonate it, because if they detonate it, then it shows that they have a nuclear weapon, but they will have obtained a nuclear device by the end of the year. Now, the Saudis have straight up said to Brett Baer that if Iran gets a nuclear weapon, they will get a nuclear weapon as well. And
well, they can just buy one.
Well, that's exactly what. So Brett Baer. So how would you do that? And they said we would buy one. And if you don't think that they're on the black market somewhere, you're absolutely wrong. But they would buy one. And so they would just leapfrog ahead of the Iranians, because they wouldn't need to do all that research and development and things like that. But still, I can promise you that in the Iranian nuclear weapons program, there are no gay people, there are no black people, there are no white people, there are no Asian people, meaning Chinese. They're Iranians. They're Persians. I can go out on a limb and say 100% of them are Persians.
And we're not saying we're anti-gay or anti-black.
No.
It's just, it's not a priority.
Right.
The only two priorities are intelligence and loyalty.
Right.
That's it.
And so why is it that we need to diversify the personnel side of our nuclear arsenal in order to keep up with our enemies? I see this as just a waste of time, a waste of manpower, discussing this, because our adversaries are not doing that. And why put ourselves at a disadvantage by not having exactly what you said, a loyalty to the United States of America, meaning no foreign ties, right? And being the best equipped and the smartest and merit-based in order to assume the position.
Yeah, this is just a guise to prioritize, people who could be loyal to a different cause, whether it's gender theory, queer theory, or to another country.
Yeah.
It's just a guise.
But she's drawing a paycheck, and it's coming out of your taxpayer dollars. And so anyway, we saw this having a strategic advisor that wants to make sure all of our nuclear weapons are queer, and that they are diversified among ethnic and racial boundaries. I mean, we just had to bring this to you. So thanks so much for tuning into Azimuth Podcast. Please stay tuned after these messages.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy our show with all of the stories we share, we would love your support.
And it's as easy as clicking that subscribe or follow button. This will ensure you never miss an episode and keeps us bringing you these important stories. Your support makes a huge difference. Thank you so much for being part of our podcast family.
Thanks, and keep tuning in.